Hey guys, it's Ty from TCS. We've been getting a lot of requests about our DIY 2GR package, where we supply you with all of the parts you need to do the swap yourself into a Mark II SW20 MR2. So I thought it might be the time to make a video showing you everything that you get in the kit, how to install the parts in the kit, and how everything goes together. I think it would clear up a lot of confusion that happens when in a process like this. So let's get to it. I got a table full of parts here, and we will go over the parts, and I'll go over a 2GR engine to show you how all of these parts go on and how it all goes together. Let's get to it. Okay, first up, one of the main parts of the kit is the exhaust components. So with our DIY kit, you're going to get our tubular headers. These bolt up to any 2GR FE engine, and it comes with our Y pipe here. The Y pipe will have O2 sensor bung locations for the two required O2 sensors that you're going to need, and it comes with an adapter here. This adapter will bolt up to our TCS exhaust systems. We have two different options of exhaust systems, which are our single muffler dual exhaust and our dual muffler dual exhaust. I'll try to put some pictures up here somewhere on the screen if I can figure out how to do that to show you the two differences. So another piece is going to be the coolant fill. This was a part that was designed by the guys at ATS Racing, actually. This part will thread into the fill port or the bleed port on the right-hand side of the 2GR engine. Here later when I show you the engine, I'll go over where that goes. It also includes a new radiator cap to make install a breeze. We also include the fuel kit. So the 2GR fuel kit is basically going to be a kit that comes with the fuel feed line, the fuel return line, a fitting that will thread onto the fuel rail on a 2GR right here, and then this fitting inside here with the washer will go right on your fuel filter. On the fuel filter, you'll take this fitting. This will thread right onto the fuel filter after you install the 6AN fitting. And then the fuel pressure regulator here will thread into this fitting, and it will seal with this O-ring here. We do usually recommend lubricating this O-ring a little bit when you put it in so it doesn't pinch anything. And as you get it in, you'll tighten everything up, tighten this nut. We usually recommend just facing the outlet of the regulator straight up, the same as the outlet of that fitting. You won't have to put any vacuum line on the end of this. This is just if you need the fuel pressure to raise with boost pressure, and since there's no boost pressure on this setup, you'll just leave this port open. You don't have to touch it. And that's the whole fuel setup here. You don't need anything else. We also include the correct coolant temperature sensor that you'll need. This will thread right in. You'll take the stock 2GR FE coolant fitting out of the water neck and just replace it with this. The wiring harness will already have the correct connector for this fitting, so it's as simple as putting this fitting in and plugging it in. You'll get a tuned stock ECU. The stock ECU is actually also tuned by the guys over at ATS Racing. We've kind of worked along with them to kind of streamline this swap the best that we can. So they flash the ECUs for us and we send them out. So you'll get some brackets to bolt that ECU up in the factory spot back in the trunk, and the harness will plug right in. The next part, you'll have a motor mount. This motor mount is the only mount that you need when installing a 2GR into your SW20. So this mount is on the passenger side of the car if you're a left-hand drive car. So we'll just call it the right-hand side. We typically like to install this mount before the engine's in the car. So you'll take your stock through bolt over on that right-hand side, and we usually will put this in the engine bay, bolt it up, but do not tighten the bolt, just leave it a little loose so this can move, and we just leave this off to the side. So then when you lower the car down onto your engine, or you lift the engine up into the car, however you're installing it, you can just swing this up and over, line it up with the 3 holes on the 2GR existing bracket, and you'll bolt it in with these 3 bolts. And then once you get it all bolted in, you can tighten up that through bolt. You will also receive a drive-by-wire pedal. So if your car is right-hand drive, you will get a pedal that was built by Paul Woods over in the United Kingdom. He supplies us with a pedal that works for right-hand drive cars with the correct bracket. If you're left-hand drive, which most of you guys are, you'll get a Lexus pedal and a kit from Frankenstein Motor Works to install that pedal in the car. So typically we ship it like this, and when you get it, you'll have to assemble. So you'll have to pry this clip off the bottom of the pedal, and then you'll have to press this out. If you have a little vise, sometimes it's easy to put this in a vise, find something to tap that all the way out, and then you'll have to tap this little bushing out of the middle here to get the pedal face off. Keep this little clip when you're done, this little pin, and then you will take the new rod, press it in, and it includes a new clip for the end. So you'll push the rod all the way in and put a clip on it, and then you'll take the pedal off and put on the end here and reuse that pin and put the pedal face back on. So it's essentially just putting it in a different spot to work correct in the SW20. In terms of the coolant, the factory lines are not going to work. They're just in a different spot and they're different sizes than the SW20 came with. So you'll get all 4 hoses that you need to make the coolant system work in the SW20. You get 2 heater core hoses. You get 1 hose for the left-hand side and then 1 hose for the right-hand side where the thermostat is. With this hose, you do remove what we call the J pipe. You'll see a metal main coolant tube mounted up on the firewall that you can remove, and this will just go straight from the water neck all the way down to the metal hardline under the car. We also include these 2 coolant caps. Some 2GR engines require this, some don't. Usually the Lexus models seem to require those, and a lot of the Sienna ones don't. So if you install, we ship those with every kit. If you install the engine and you see near your water neck you have these 2 ports that aren't being used on anything, that's what those caps are for. You'll put the caps on and a clamp and tighten it down. We include our 3-inch air intake. This will go right on your throttle body with the correct coupler and clamps. The stock hose will fit right up onto this bung, and your mass airflow sensor will bolt onto here with the included bolts. You get everything you needed to install: the air filter, the tube, and the coupler. You'll get a wiring harness that's been converted to use in the SW20. This harness was made by Doug over at Wire Gap. He has been making our harnesses ever since we've been doing swaps, and he does a great job, so we've continued to support Doug. You'll get this is the harness for the drive-by-wire pedal. So back in the trunk, you will see a connector near the ECU. This will connect up to that connector, and then this you'll run all the way up and plug this into the drive-by-wire pedal. So you can route this however you want. We typically will tape this up if we're routing it in the engine bay, and just route it from the trunk into the engine bay and then up into the cabin and up and plug it into the pedal. Everything else is plug and play. Back in the trunk, you will have 4 wires that you'll need to connect in your trunk. Later in this video, I will show you which wires to connect, but essentially you're just connecting the speed signal, the battery power, the check engine light, and the fuel pump wire. But I'll go over that later in the video and show you which wires you need to connect these two back in your trunk. Some of the options that you can select when you're purchasing the kit are if you would like AC or not. If you would like AC and you select that option, we're going to supply you with a brand new Denso compressor and a belt and the 2 AC lines. There's always been some controversy on the AC lines and how they fit. It's a very, very tight fit to have AC on a 2GR in the SW20. We have done well over 100 cars here at the shop without a single issue on AC lines. This whole area up here, sometimes you have to maneuver them to get them the most clearance possible. There is a picture on the website. I'll try to add it here if I can figure out how to do that, showing you which line goes where on the engine bay. What we typically do is we will install these lines on the compressor first in the correct orientation, and then you can grab a hold of the line while this is bolted, and this line is fairly easy to maneuver around. We will maneuver these around to get us the best fitment. If you selected that you want us to include the correct clutch and flywheel, whether it's for a non-turbo S54 or a turbo model E-Series transmission, if you select that, you will get a Clutchmasters FX250 clutch, whether it's for an S54 or an E-Series. You will get brand new OEM pressure plate bolts and OEM flywheel bolts for the 2GR, along with the TCS flywheel. This is an aluminum flywheel made for us by the same people that make the clutch, if that's a hint. It's a great flywheel. We've used this clutch and flywheel on every swap for many, many, many years, and we haven't had an issue out of any of them. A couple things that sometimes you notice when you're installing this, we also will include 2 O2 sensor harness extensions that sometimes they're needed, sometimes they're not. It just depends. It's very close to making them work without an extension, but unfortunately sometimes they are a little short. Depending on which O2 sensor you're using, we do have part numbers listed of which ones we use, but sometimes if you get an engine and it already has the 2 O2 sensors, you just want to use them, that's great. Saves you probably $150 to $200. You might have to, when you go to plug these in, what I usually do is I'll try to plug them in. If the little standoffs are in the wrong spot, you may have to take your O2 sensor, line it up, and see which ones are in the wrong spot, and we will just sand down the side of, we usually do it on the O2 sensor, so because those provisions are sticking out, you can just sand it down to where it fits, and then it'll click right in. If I have one next door when I go show you the engine, I'll show you what I mean there, but it's fairly self-explanatory when you go to plug the O2 sensor in. If it has a like a standoff over on this side maybe, and it won't clear, you could sand that one off and it'll plug right in. But it will click in, everything will be right. You just might have to sand off 1 or 2 of the sides of the O2 sensor itself. I think that does it for all of the parts that are included in the kit. So what I'll do is I'll go next door and I'll show you what modifications you have to do on the engine, as well as the wiring modifications that you have to do. All right, let's head over there. All right, let's go next door where all the engines and stuff are at, and I'll go over that. If you see, this is the dual muffler, dual exhaust. You can see the whole setup here actually. You can see the headers, how the headers and the Y pipe go together with the adapter. And connected to the dual muffler. All right, so over here in the shop, we got 2 engines that are crate packages that people have bought that are getting ready to ship out, so I can kind of show you how some of the stuff goes together. Let's see, we'll go on this side. I'll show you all of the modifications to the block that you have to do a 2GR swap. So first of all, down here on this side, you'll see where we have ground out this little pocket. On a factory engine, you'll see it'll say 2GR right here. So you're essentially having to grind or cut out this little pocket. You're not having to grind all this out. You'll see what I mean when you see your engine. There's already a little pocket here. You'll essentially cut, smooth all this out. You do have to be pretty liberal with how much you take out. When you put the transmission on, you'll see double check to make sure that the slave cylinder here bolts and has plenty of clearance. If you don't grind enough off, when you put the slave cylinder on, it will be bolted. It won't bolt on all the way, and it'll be pushed away from the transmission a little bit. And I've seen the slave cylinders break because they have not ground off enough of this, and it's putting everything in a bind. So first step, you're going to grind this out for clearance for your slave cylinder. The next step, this hole, looking at the transmission, this hole right here, it's already roughly the right size for this helicoil. You will drill, which barely will clean it up, and then tap for this helicoil, and I'll put the size of the helicoil here on the screen if I can. So this will be so you can mount the transmission, and then coming down to the right side here, you'll see this little area that's ground down. You can get an idea of how much to grind from right here. There's a little nub here. Actually, this one hasn't been done yet. So you can see this little nub. You'll need to grind it to where it's kind of flat. And then as you go further down, there is a piece right here that's sticking out. You'll cut that off. If you guys can see that in the picture. Just compare this to your engine when you see your engine. Coming all the way around, nothing on the bottom. Over on this side, there's a big nub that hangs off over here. You don't use this bolt hole at all, so it doesn't matter. We just cut that clean off. And that's all of the modifications to the block that need to be done. Here, on this side of the engine, you can see from the factory, there's a bleed port here. And you'll take that bleed port out and thread our piece in. Usually what we do is we thread it till it gets pretty tight, and you can usually snug it up to face the overflow nipple this way, and we'll just usually run a hose under the intake manifold and over to your reservoir. Whether you use the stock one or aftermarket, it doesn't matter. All right, we're back here in the trunk. Let's turn the camera around and show you what we got. All right, so in the trunk, the wires you're gonna need are gonna be on this harness. This is what we call the body harness. So once you remove your engine, you're gonna remove your old ECU, all of your old engine wiring harness, it's leaving. So you're gonna be left with this, right? And on your wire gap harness, once you route everything in the trunk, you're gonna have these 4 wires. You're gonna have a light green, a dark green, a pink, and a purple. You might not be able to see the light green and dark green very well in this video, but you'll be able to see in person. So the first wire we will do is the pink wire. The pink wire is gonna go to a white wire with a red stripe. It is almost always on this gray ECU connector. Your connector may look different depending on what year and model SW20 you have, but it's almost always going to be on this. You're going to find the white wire with a red stripe. Hopefully you guys can see that. White wire with a red stripe, and that is going to go to the pink wire on the 2GR harness. So you can just cut this white wire with a red stripe and connect it to the pink wire. The next wire will be the purple wire. The purple wire, you're going to look for a purple wire with a white stripe. So I can see it right there. It's a purple wire with a white stripe. And same thing, you'll cut this wire and you'll connect the 2GR purple wire to that purple wire with a white stripe. Next up, you have the dark green. The dark green is the check engine light. That is going to go to a green wire with a white stripe. Some connectors will have 2 green wires with a white stripe. Some will just have 1. If you just have 1 wire that is a green with a white stripe, like this harness does, you'll just connect the dark green to that wire and you're done. If there is more than 1 green wire with a white stripe, typically up here, it will be 5 wires over. So pin 5 from here, and you'll see a green with a white. You'll be able to tell, even if you connect this dark green to the wrong green wire with a white stripe, your only problem will be that your check engine light will not illuminate. So if when you turn the key to on, if you don't see the check engine light come on, then you have it on the wrong green wire with a white stripe. Go to the other one. Your last wire is going to be the light green wire. The light green wire is going to go to a green wire with a red stripe. You see the green wire with a red stripe, cut it, connect to the light green wire, and you're done. Easy as that. Some cars have the green wire with a red stripe up here on this connector. Very rare, but it's the only green wire with the red stripe on this whole section. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us or call us. We'll be glad to take care of you. That was just the only way that we thought it was easiest to make this harness fit every 91 to 99 MR2. So whether you have a JDM car, right-hand drive, beams, a 91 non-turbo, 91 turbo, 93 non-turbo, turbo, whatever, this 2GR harness will work on all of them. The only difference is where those 4 wires are on that connector. So keeping them pretty color matched has been a big help. On the engine harness, you may have a connector down near the transmission that is not used. Every one of these will get wired with a electronic speedometer connector. That's for the electronic speedo on the transmission. That is only used if you have a 93 and newer transmission that has the electronic speedometer. If you have a 91 or 92 car, or any car with a mechanical cable driven speedometer, then that connector just is not used. You'll see when you connect everything up, there's a connector down near the transmission where the speedo cable connects, and you'll wonder what it connects to. On your car, it connects to nothing because you don't have an electronic speedo. Another little quick tip that we like to do when we do a 2GR swap, I've seen other people do their own 2GR swap, and I'll zoom in on the picture and notice they did something different, but this is how we do it. When it comes to the brake booster line, let me switch this around. The brake booster line is coming from, you see it up here, there's a line that runs the whole length of the car. This comes up and around your strut tower, and then right here, it's bolted to your strut tower. The problem is when you put a 2GR in, this is very tight right here near the strut tower. So what we typically do is back here, we will cut this line. We will cut the line back here, and then we'll just run our brake booster hose right from there up to the intake manifold. But it gets rid of this little piece and clears up some space right there. That about wraps it up. I'll post some links here to the parts, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or a phone call. We'll be glad to help you guys out. I think piecing this kit together like this is probably the easiest way for somebody to do this swap at their house. As you can see, even us, we do hundreds of these swaps and we still buy products from other companies to make this work. So if you're doing it yourself at home, it is kind of daunting to think you have to buy products from 5, 6, 7 different places to do this in your garage. Or you can click a button and we'll just ship you 2 massive boxes full of parts. You get everything you need to do the swap other than the engine itself. And usually when you buy the engine, it does not come with an alternator. It usually doesn't come with the exhaust manifolds. So if you don't get the exhaust manifolds, you probably didn't get the O2 sensors. So on the website, under the DIY package, you'll see information about which parts you need: the mass airflow sensor, the O2 sensors, the alternator. We post part numbers for all the ones that we use here at the shop. So if you want to do it like we do it, you just order those parts, typically somewhere online. You can look on Amazon, Rock Auto, or you can get them from a junkyard if you wanted to save some money. Typically when it comes to the alternator, I do like just buying a brand new one. It's not too much more money, but you get the peace of mind of it's brand new. You don't have to hopefully ever take it out. Well guys, I think that wraps it up. I can't think of anything else that you guys would really need to know. A lot of it is just not really sure where to cut and grind and smooth out. So this definitely helps. I'm hoping the video helps you guys and it helps cut down on some of the questions we get and some of the emails we get about, you know, what is needed, how can I do this, am I able to do this myself? If you are fairly mechanically inclined and you have a decent set of tools, I think this is something you can easily do yourself in your garage, especially if you have a buddy or somebody that can help you. You know, the hardest parts are just the physical labor of handling an engine and a transmission and stuff like that. But we make it to where the actual swap is not very daunting. You know, you get all the parts to put it on there and stick it in your car and you're good to go. It definitely transforms the car. You know, you can take your non-turbo MR2 that has 100 horsepower and buy a $5,000 do-it-yourself package and buy an engine and stick it in the car, and you leave with 300 horsepower.